Look at this. It is soft enough to bend with your bare hands. It does nothing. It powers no engine. It feeds no one, and it pays no interest. And yet, for 5,000 years, across civilizations that never once met each other, human beings have agreed that this one quiet metal is worth crossing oceans for, fighting wars over, and saving every spare rupee to own. So here are a few questions worth asking. Why this metal, and not any of the other 90 that occur in nature? Why is every single speck of it on Earth older than the sun? Why, when its price hit a record this year, did the government quietly ask the entire country to stop buying it, while the Reserve Bank of India did the exact opposite and began quietly bringing its gold home? And the strangest question of all, if gold is so useless, why does the whole world still trust it more than any currency, any government, or any bank? This is the story of gold, not the jewelry, the obsession. And it begins, as the best stories do, with an impossible dream. For 2,000 years, humans tried to make gold. Kings funded the search. Alchemists spent their whole lives chasing it. Every one of them failed. Until, a few years ago, deep beneath the border of France and Switzerland, inside the largest machine humanity has ever built, someone finally did it. In a laboratory called CERN, lead atoms were fired around a ring at almost the speed of light, and when they grazed past each other, a few of them lost exactly 3 tiny particles and turned into gold. The alchemist's dream, achieved at last. Except for one small problem. In years of trying, the experiment produced gold weighing less than a single speck of dust, about 29 trillionths of a gram. It vanished in less than a millionth of a second. And to make just 1 single gram of gold this way, the machine would have to run for around 100 billion years. The electricity bill alone would dwarf the value of every gram of gold on Earth. Which leaves us with a strange truth. Gold cannot really be made. Not by alchemists, not by chemistry, not even by the most advanced machine on the planet. So where does all of it come from? The answer is not from Earth at all. Every atom of gold in existence was forged in the most violent events in the universe. When 2 dead stars, called neutron stars, spiral into each other and collide, the blast is so intense that it crushes matter into the heaviest elements there are. Gold, platinum. In 2017, telescopes watched this happen for the very first time, a collision 130 million light-years away. In that single event, scientists estimate that gold and platinum weighing several times the mass of the Earth were forged in just a few seconds. So the gold in a wedding ring, in a temple, in a locker in your home is older than the sun. It was made by colliding stars. It drifted through space for billions of years, and it was part of the dust that formed our planet. Then most of it sank into the Earth's molten core far beyond any reach. The little we can actually dig up was sprinkled back onto the surface much later by a storm of asteroids. Every piece of gold humanity has ever touched is, quite literally, tilde stardust that fell from the sky. Tilde. Which raises a bigger question. Out of everything on Earth, why did almost every civilization, separated by oceans and by centuries, independently decide that this one metal was money? Imagine you had the whole periodic table to choose from, and you had to pick the perfect thing to store wealth. Run the elimination. Cross out the gases and the liquids. You cannot keep your savings in a cloud. Cross out the radioactive elements. They would poison you. Cross out the dozens of metals that rust, corrode, or burst into flame in open air. Money that crumbles is no money at all. Cross out the elements so rare they exist only inside laboratories, and the ones so common they are worthless. When you finish, almost the entire table is gone. You are left with a tiny handful of metals. Silver tarnishes. Platinum melts at a temperature no ancient fire could ever reach, and one by one they fall away, until you are left with a single element that does not rust, does not tarnish, is rare but not impossible, soft enough to shape by hand, and a color you cannot mistake for anything else. Gold. As one chemist put it, out of the entire periodic table, gold is the only sweet spot. Run history again from the beginning, and the laws of chemistry would hand us gold every single time. Gold is not money because it is pretty. It is money because the universe left us almost no other choice. So how much of this stardust is there? Here is the part that stops people. Every gram of gold ever mined in all of human history, every coin, every ring, every bar in every vault would fit inside a single cube about 22 meters on each side. That is all of it. All the gold of every empire, every pharaoh, every gold rush would fit inside one ordinary building. And we are running low on what is easy to reach. Geologists talk about peak gold, the point where the amount we mine each year stops rising. We may already be there. The gold left in the ground is harder and harder to find. A century ago, India's own Kolar fields pulled dozens of grams of gold out of every ton of rock. Today, a good mine gives just 1 to 5 grams a ton. To get even that, miners go to terrifying places. In South Africa, the deepest gold mine drops about 4 kilometers straight down, where the rock is hot enough to burn skin, and men were cooled by pumped ice. There is gold in the oceans, too, about 8 million tons of it dissolved in seawater. But it is spread so thin that no one has ever found a way to gather it for less than it is worth. A famous German scientist once tried, hoping to pay off his country's war debts. He gave up. But here is the twist. Because gold never rusts and never decays, almost all of it still exists. The gold in an ancient Roman coin could be sitting in a ring on your finger today. Which means the richest gold mine in the world right now might be the drawer where you keep your old phones. Every smartphone holds a tiny trace of gold. A ton of old circuit boards can hold far more gold than a ton of rock from a mine. The world throws away billions of dollars of gold in electronics every year and recovers only a fraction of it. We dig deeper and deeper for new gold, while a fortune of it sits forgotten in our junk drawers. And no country on earth has hungered for this metal quite like India. This is not new. 2,000 years ago, a Roman writer named Pliny complained in writing that India was bleeding his empire of its wealth. By the lowest estimate, he wrote, India and the East were draining Rome of 100 million sesterces a year, a staggering sum, in exchange for spices, silk, and pearls. Rome was pouring out its gold and getting luxuries in return. India would come to be called the sink of the world's gold. And Pliny was right. For centuries, the gold of Rome, and later of Europe and the Americas, flowed east and quietly disappeared into India, never to return. Where did it go? Into ornaments, into savings, and into temples. In 2011, when a court ordered the secret vaults of one temple in Kerala to be opened, they found what may be the largest treasure ever discovered in a single place. Gold coins by the sackful. An 18-foot chain of solid gold. Idols and jewels worth, by careful estimates, more than $20 billion. And one final vault was left sealed, unopened, to this day. But the real story of India and gold is not in the temples. It is in ordinary homes. For generations, gold was the one form of wealth a woman could truly call her own. Her Streedhan, not her husband's, not her family's. Hers. A safety net she could carry on her body that no bank failure could erase and no one could easily take. Bought at weddings, on Dhanteras, on Akshaya Tritiya, blessed by the goddess of wealth herself. To an outsider, it can look like obsession. Look closer, and it is something wiser. It is 1 billion private insurance policies worn as jewelry. Which brings us to today. and a genuine puzzle. This year, India bought less gold than the year before, and it paid $14 billion more for it. The import bill hit a record $72 billion, second only to oil. The entire rise was price, as gold broke record after record all over the world. And all that gold creates a problem for the country. When India imports oil, the oil runs factories. When it imports a machine, the machine builds things. But imported gold mostly goes straight into a locker. The dollars leave, and nothing productive comes back. So the government did something striking. It asked the country, gently, to please pause, to stop buying gold for a while. It had tried before, with schemes to put the nation's idle gold to work. The biggest one ran for almost 10 years and collected about 30 tons. India imports more than 700 tons every single year. People simply would not give up their gold. And here is the click, the pattern that explains everything. At the very moment households were being asked to hold back, the Reserve Bank of India was doing the exact opposite, quietly buying gold and physically flying it home. India now holds about 880 tons of official gold. And just 3 years ago, most of it sat in vaults in London. Today, more than 3/4 of it is locked in vaults inside India, in Mumbai and Nagpur. Why the sudden urge to bring it home? The answer arrived in 2022, when Western governments froze Russia's foreign reserves almost overnight. Every central bank in the world learned the same lesson in a single day. Money held inside someone else's financial system can be switched off. But gold, sitting in your own vault, cannot be frozen. It cannot be sanctioned. It cannot be devalued by anyone else. And it cannot be defaulted on. And that is the whole secret. The grandmother adding one bangle to her locker and the central bank flying tons of bullion home are not opposites at all. They are doing the exact same thing for the exact same reason. Both are buying protection against a world they cannot control. The farmer fears inflation and a failed harvest. The central bank fears sanctions and a financial shock. The instinct is identical. Gold is the one asset that is tilde nobody else's promise. Tilde. Step back, and the strangest thing of all comes into view. We send human beings 4 kilometers into the earth, into killing heat, to claw gold out of one hole in the ground. We melt it, purify it, and cast it into perfect bars. And then we drive it across the world and lock it inside another hole in the ground, a vault, where it sits in the dark and does nothing. We dig it up only to bury it again. Gold pays no interest. It builds nothing. It feeds no one. By every ordinary measure, it is useless. The economist John Maynard Keynes once dismissed it as a barbarous relic. And yet here we are, in a world of digital money and dazzling technology, when people are truly afraid, they still reach for the same soft yellow metal their ancestors reached for 5,000 years ago. Maybe that is the real reason it endures. Gold cannot be printed by a government, frozen by a rival, or promised into existence and then defaulted on. It simply is. Older than money, older than nations, tilde, older than the sun itself. Tilde, a piece of a dead star, passed from hand to hand, that the whole world has quietly agreed to trust. This is Sphota, India, the pattern, made plain.